GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action. Live from the GMNA News Center, this is the Lunch Break News Hour.
Good afternoon, I'm CJ Waterhouse. Traffic is climbing fast around the island with nearly 2 million extra cars in the last 2 decades, and we're seeing moderate bridge delays this afternoon. On a brighter note, the IMAX 70mm adventure L'Odyssey just topped the global box office. Over to you, Jeff.
The community event Temple Run and Reset returns next Saturday at the Montreal Museum of Fine Arts, running from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., free admission.
Features interactive art installations, a kinetic maze designed by local students, and live acoustic sets by emerging Quebec musicians throughout the afternoon.
Family-friendly activities include a pop-up tea station, a community mural wall where visitors can contribute, and a guided tour at half-hour intervals.
Lots to get to, let's begin. We'll dive into the day's stories after this vibrant showcase, keeping Montreal's creative spirit front and center. Good morning, Montreal.
Data released this morning indicates that vehicle traffic is climbing fastest in the regions surrounding the island. Over the past 20 years, an estimated nearly 2 million additional cars have taken to Quebec's highways beyond the metropolitan perimeter. While the island itself remains the province's most congested corridor, the peripheral zones are now absorbing the bulk of new trips, stretching commuter routes from the South Shore through the North Shore and into the outlying municipalities. That translates to an average yearly increase of about 100,000 vehicles, a pace that exceeds the growth recorded inside the city. Planners point to continued suburban development and limited public transit expansion as drivers of the trend. Officials warn that if the current trajectory persists, peak hour delays could spill onto routes that have historically served as relief corridors, complicating efforts to manage congestion on the island's already strained network.
IMAX 70mm spectacle L'Odyssey has surged to the top of the worldwide box office list this month, and the momentum shows no sign of slowing. Audiences around the globe are flocking to theaters to experience the first full-length fictional feature shot in the legendary IMAX 70mm format, a technology that was born right here in Montreal. The film's sweeping visuals and immersive sound have sparked a wave of enthusiasm, pushing ticket sales past the competition and keeping the movie at #1 in the current rankings. Industry analysts note that the format's revival is drawing both longtime cinephiles and new fans alike. As the run continues, theaters worldwide are reporting packed seats, confirming that the combination of cutting-edge picture quality and compelling storytelling is resonating with moviegoers everywhere. Box office data from the first 3 weeks shows steady growth, reinforcing L'Odyssey's position as a cultural milestone for the format.
CBC Music will unveil its annual 30 Under 30 list today, shining a spotlight on emerging talent from across the country. Among the honorees are a handful of classical musicians hailing from Quebec, marking a notable presence for the province in this year's selection. The list, which showcases 30 Canadian artists under the age of 30, is compiled each summer to recognize those poised to shape the nation's musical landscape. This edition's classical cohort includes a young violinist from the Conservatoire de Musique de Montreal, a cellist recently awarded a Canada Council grant, and a rising composer whose works have already been performed at the Place des Arts. CBC Music will release the full roster online and through its streaming platform later this afternoon, giving listeners a chance to discover the next generation of Canadian sound.
Students have taken to the streets today, maintaining a protest after Quebec officials suspended the operating permit of a local college. The shutdown, ordered on July 19th, forced the campus to close and left thousands of learners, including a large number of international students, without access to classes and jeopardizing their immigration status. Demonstrators gathered outside the former main entrance, chanting slogans and holding signs demanding an immediate reinstatement of the permit. Campus representatives told authorities that the abrupt closure disrupts academic progress and threatens scholarships tied to enrollment. Provincial officials, speaking from the Ministry of Education, said the suspension follows a compliance review and that a decision on reinstatement will be announced after further investigation. Police presence remains on the perimeter, and the demonstration continues into the evening as night falls.
Yesterday, the Oklahoma City Thunder sent forward Lou Dort to the Atlanta Hawks in a 3-team deal that also involved the Miami Heat. The Montreal-born defender, a regular starter known for his tenacious perimeter play, will join a Hawks roster that is reshaping its wing depth ahead of the upcoming season. In the exchange, Oklahoma City receives a protected first-round pick and a veteran guard from Atlanta, while Miami picks up a young forward and a second-rounder. The three-team structure moved picks and players among the clubs without requiring additional salary cap space. The trade marks the latest move in a busy off-season for the Thunder, who have been active in accumulating assets. For the Hawks, adding Dort bolsters a defense-oriented core that has struggled with consistency. The transaction was finalized on July 19th and is now official.
Montreal's traffic surge is just the start, and Quebec's $1 million boost for volunteer sports could change the game. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm glad you stayed with us. Let's dive into today's headlines, then Jeff Laflamme will take us to the local stories.
Yesterday, the Quebec government unveiled a $1 million Canadian investment aimed at bolstering volunteer-run leisure and sport programs. The funding will be distributed to community clubs, recreation centers, and local leagues, giving them resources to recruit and retain volunteers who coach youth hockey, organize adult fitness classes, or manage seasonal tournaments. Officials say the money is intended to reinforce the backbone of recreational activity, ensuring that the programs many families rely on can continue without interruption. By targeting the volunteer network, the province hopes to keep schedules full and fees modest, a benefit for parents juggling work and childcare. The announcement follows a broader provincial push to sustain active lifestyles, and the extra support could translate into more organized events and better equipment for neighborhood teams in the weeks ahead.
Ontario truckers are turning to Quebec for their licenses at a rapid pace. In July, applications from Ontario drivers to replace their provincial licenses with Quebec equivalents rose by 30% compared with the same period last year. The surge points to a noticeable shift in the driver license market, as carriers seek routes and regulations that they perceive as more favorable. For local businesses that rely on timely freight, the change could alter routing patterns and affect delivery schedules across the region. Transport firms say the trend may stem from differences in licensing fees, renewal processes, and road use policies between the two provinces. Drivers report that holding a Quebec license may streamline paperwork and cut downtime between loads. Officials in both jurisdictions are monitoring the flow of applications, noting that the growing cross-border interest may reshape how trucks operate on key corridors.
On Monday night, the Alouettes edged the Stampeders in a high-scoring regular season duel, finishing 38-32. Quarterback Davis Alexander not only guided Montreal to victory, but also etched his name in the league books, becoming the latest CFL record holder during the contest. The win keeps the Alouettes in the hunt for a playoff spot, while Calgary sees its campaign slip further behind the leaders. Fans at the stadium witnessed a relentless back and forth, with both offenses trading scores until the final minutes. Alexander's record-setting performance came as he consistently found his receivers downfield, turning potential turnovers into touchdowns. The result adds another chapter to this season's rivalry, reminding local supporters that every home game can swing the standings in a matter of seconds. The atmosphere was electric, with chants echoing through the stands as the scoreboard ticked higher, and the victory sparked celebrations along Rue St. Laurent after the final whistle.
Saturday evening, Canadian National Railway sprayed herbicide on its tracks bordering a residential block in Mercier-Hochelaga-Maisonneuve without warning neighbors. Residents reported the airborne chemicals drifting toward windows and gardens, prompting a wave of complaints to local officials. CN says the application was part of its routine weed control program, a practice it carries out across its network. However, the proximity of the treatment to homes raised concerns about potential health impacts and the lack of prior notice. Community members voiced frustration, noting that previous weed control efforts had been announced in advance, while this incident arrived without any alert. The railway company has not yet responded to requests for an explanation of why standard notification procedures were omitted. The episode adds pressure on CN to review its safety communications for operations that intersect residential zones.
Saturday, the city unveiled a plan to add 1,650 affordable housing units to the existing stock. The proposal earmarks the former Molson Brewery grounds and parcels in the Namur Hippodrome neighborhood for new construction. Officials say the projects aim to ease the chronic shortage of low-cost homes that has pushed many families into precarious rental situations. By converting underused industrial sites into residential blocks, the city hopes to create a mix of apartments and townhouses that remain within reach of average incomes. The initiative forms part of a broader strategy to expand affordable options across the island, responding to demand that outstrips supply. If the developments proceed as outlined, the added units could represent a modest but tangible increase in the housing pool for residents seeking stable, affordable accommodation.
Now let's turn to the forecast and see what the skies have in store.
A weakening ridge and a fast northwest, Jet are setting the stage for a warm, dry afternoon. Unfortunately, we have no official record high or low for July 20th, but the climate normals for this date sit around 25 degrees high and 19 degrees low. The last time we saw an extreme heat wave in late July was in 2021, when temperatures pushed into the low 30s for several days, while a rare Arctic dip in 2013 dropped overnight lows into the single digits. Those outliers illustrate how the current near-average pressure pattern keeps us comfortably in the midsummer range. Zooming in on the live radar, the screen is uniformly clear across southern Quebec and the St. Lawrence corridor. No echoes appear, confirming a dry air mass anchored by the high-pressure ridge aloft. With the jet stream blazing northwestward at roughly 143 kilometers per hour, any moisture would be sheared east, but none is present. The calm returns us to the noon outlook. At noon, the city sits at 23 degrees under a partly cloudy sky, humidity hovering 57%, and a gentle southwest breeze at 11 kilometers per hour. The pressure field is near average, but easing lower, signaling a slow shift toward unsettled weather later this week. Overhead, the jet stream races northwest at 143 kilometers per hour, funneling upper-level energy that will keep the air mass dry today. Temperatures will climb to 27 degrees by mid-afternoon, then dip to 25 as clouds thicken after sunset. The UV index sits at 6, and wind remains below 25 kilometers per hour throughout. No active weather alerts are in force. Turning to the extended outlook, Tuesday brings a warm front that lifts temperatures to 28 degrees with a low of 17, but the sky will be overcast, and the chance of rain climbs to 75%. Wednesday cools to 23 degrees high and 14 low, and despite a 35% rain probability, the day remains mostly clear. Thursday steadies at 22 degrees maximum and 14 minimum under a bright, cloud-free sky. Friday sees a return to 25 degrees and 17 degrees low, with overcast conditions but no measurable rain. Saturday finishes the week with 27 degrees high, 18 low, and largely clear skies, offering the most sunshine of the period. And that's your weather. Remember, the lunch break is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
With bridges seeing moderate delays, Temple Run and Reset dominate the apps, and the Canadians model franchise shines. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
An unexpected signal failure has halted service on the Metro Green Line this morning. Trains are not running between Snowden and St. Mitchell, and replacement buses are shuttling passengers along the corridor. Expect longer wait times at all affected stations until service resumes in the afternoon. The Blue Line continues service, though one platform at St. Laurent remains closed for maintenance until 12 o'clock. On the road network, the Honoré-Mercier Bridge is seeing moderate delays. Trucks are prohibited and one lane is closed, forcing traffic onto the remaining lanes and onto the autoroute. Drivers should consider alternative river crossings if possible. Northbound traffic through the Louis-Hippolyte Lafontaine Tunnel is also impacted. The tunnel is closed for refurbishment, with southbound traffic running in contraflow. Detour signs direct drivers onto Rue Saint-Denis and Boulevard St. Charles. Finally, a minor lane management scheme on the Victoria Bridge is in effect, with a single one-way lane during peak periods. The rest of the city's roads remain clear.
Temple Run and Reset at Pas de Problem Cafe launches the morning with a quick run and coffee reset, perfect for a burst of energy before lunch. It's a great way to shake off the rush and meet fellow locals who love a healthy start. The Just for Laughs festival continues at Cartier des Spectacles, delivering comedy that turns any weekday into a laugh-filled escape. Head over to the main stage for surprise sets and open mic moments that keep the jokes fresh. At Time Out Market Montreal, the Cirque du Soleil Echo exhibition showcases behind-the-scenes photos and a kids' circus show, ideal for families on a rainy day. The photo series pulls back the curtain on the creation of the iconic Big Top production. Looking ahead, the MLS showdown between Inter Miami and CF Montreal at Saputo Stadium on Saturday promises soccer and a chance to cheer the home team. Tickets are selling fast, and the rivalry guarantees a night of fireworks. And now here's Jason with sports.
Here's the latest on Montreal's hockey scene and league developments. The Habs are being cited as a model franchise, with analysts noting their structure may have inspired the Vancouver Canucks' current approach. Meanwhile, the 2026 Top 25 Under 25 fan ballot is open, closing at 8:59 p.m. EDT Friday, according to Habs Eyes on the Prize. Fans have until the deadline to shape the Canadiens' 2026 Top 25 Under 25 list, a yearly summer ranking that began in 2010. The initiative highlights the rapid rebuild overseen by GM Kent Hughes after the departures of Carey Price and Shea Weber, reports Habs Eyes on the Prize. Forward Zachary Bolduc is spending his summer traveling to youth hockey camps across Quebec, saying he's grateful to serve as a visible NHL role model for the next generation. The Habs' own coverage notes his involvement as part of the off-season community outreach. Habs Eyes on the Prize reports.
Derg House on Sherbrooke Street West in Notre Dame de Grace is the go-to spot for pet lovers, offering everything from gourmet treats to grooming supplies. This week the city rolled out new parking meters along the block, and the extra mints and coins are keeping neighborhood dog walkers and cat owners from popping in for quick pickups. Owners say the meters have turned a once busy walk-in shop into a quiet aisle, cutting sales and dimming the daily chance for neighbors to chat over a leash. The ripple reaches beyond the register. Fewer spontaneous visits mean fewer chances for the community to bond over their four-legged friends. Derg House isn't just a store, it's a gathering place that keeps Montreal's pet families connected. Stay tuned as we explore how Derg House's new meters are rattling shoppers and impacting the beloved pet store down the street.
Coming up tonight at 6, the local sunset. Your neighborhood, your city, your news. From City Hall decisions to the stories happening right on your street, we cover what matters most to Montrealers. Join us tonight at 6 p.m. on GMna for the local sunset, Montreal's evening newscast.
The CH1E3 Derm MTL Night Market is back in Griffintown, bringing a vibrant mix of food, music, and culture that officials say could attract more than 25,000 visitors this weekend. The community is buzzing as vendors set up stalls and families gather to celebrate. Carl Dumont is there. Carl Dumont.
Thanks CJ Waterhouse. I'm standing on the cracked concrete of Bassin Peel, the scent of grilled lemongrass and sizzling pork skewers curling through the crisp summer air. Lanterns in reds and gold swing above the makeshift stalls, casting warm pools of light on families strolling between rows of bamboo tables. The crowd swells with locals and tourists, kids clutching cotton candy while elders share stories over bowls of pho. Musicians on a raised platform tap out traditional Vietnamese drums, their rhythm echoing off the historic warehouses that line the river. Vendors from across the city line the promenade, offering banh mi dumplings and hand-painted silk scarves, each stall a small stage of culture. Organizers anticipate more than 25,000 visitors, making this the largest edition yet, and the energy feels like a living tapestry of community pride. This night shows how food and music can stitch together generations, turning a waterfront into a shared home. Carl Dumont virtually at Bassin Peel.
On a crisp Saturday afternoon near the Montreal Metro entrance, the bustling plateau streets hummed with cyclists, cafes spilling sunlight onto the sidewalk, and a mural of bright birds watching over the neighborhood. A disagreement between two young men escalated quickly, and a flash of steel left one of them with a wound that sent a ripple of alarm through the crowd. Within moments, a group of passers-by formed a protective circle, shielding the injured friend while someone called for help. A paramedic team arrived, their red lights reflected in the rain-slick pavement, and they moved with practiced calm, stabilizing the wound and reassuring the onlookers. As the ambulance doors closed, neighbors gathered around a nearby bakery, offering hot soup and fresh bread to the shaken friends, their gestures a reminder that the plateau's spirit runs deep. Later that evening, the young man's family thanked the community, noting how strangers became a lifeline in a moment of crisis. It's a small, powerful reminder that even when darkness flickers, the warmth of Montreal's people shines through.
On Thursday afternoon on St. Laurent Boulevard near the farmers' market at St. Denis, residents of the plateau caught a glimpse of a bright orange advisory on their phone screens. The health alert, issued by the Provincial Environment Ministry, warned that the city's air quality had slipped into a range unhealthy for those with asthma, allergies, or other respiratory sensitivities. In the market's shaded awning, a volunteer from the local community health center set up a small table with reusable masks and printed tips on staying safe indoors. A group of seniors paused their errands, thanked the volunteers, and shared stories of how the neighborhood's rooftop garden had become a refuge during past smog days. Meanwhile, a high school science club, aware of the warning, organized a pop-up lesson on air filtration, demonstrating how a simple plant wall can reduce particulate matter. Their enthusiasm drew curious passers-by, and for a brief moment the street felt like a classroom rather than a cautionary zone. The collective response turned a health warning into a moment of shared care, reminding us that community action can lift the spirit even when the air feels heavy.
Thanks for tuning in, Montreal. That thrilling Alouettes victory and Davis Alexander's record kept us on the edge of our seats. We'll be back tomorrow with more of the stories that matter to you. Stay safe and have a great afternoon. We appreciate your support.